What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video, and today it's watch list time for game week 10. So I'm going to go through 3 players I've put on the watch list who I'm either thinking of getting in this week or in the very, very near future. I've been talking quite a lot about fixture swings coming up around game week 10, maybe getting rid of one of Kane or Son or both, and I think this is the week where I'm going to make some pretty big moves, and the players on this list are definitely fully in my consideration, from pretty big teams as well. So I'm going to talk about them in just a sec. If you've been enjoying these watch list videos all season so far, please do give it a thumbs up. Really does help out the channel. Subscribe if you're new around here as well, and hit that notification bell. Trying to hit 125k by the end of the season. There's plenty more content to come, so please do consider hitting that button. Completely free to do. Otherwise, I will jump in to the first player. So we start off with a Liverpool midfielder, and it's not Mo Salah. So I don't own Mo Salah. For anyone that's keeping up with the videos, you know I sold him last week, but he's not really going onto the watch list because that was only a short-term move. And if he's fit and available for game week 10, I'm going to bring him back in anyway. But I've been talking a lot about double Man City midfielders, and I've kind of been not blinkered by it because I think the fixtures are really good. But obviously they haven't been maybe performing as we would hope. I would still predict that the fixtures will turn around their form, right? Because what happens a lot of the time is, with form, the players have already scored their points. So it's very easy to say, well, they've got form. Whereas with fixtures, you're kind of predicting the points are coming. So it's a little bit scarier to do, right? And that's why a lot of people prefer form over fixtures. And I just think Man City have got the fixtures to turn that form around. And what will happen is, if they do really well in those fixtures, people will then say, well, they've got form, I can bring them in. Whereas what they should have been doing is looking at the fixtures. So I'm not necessarily put off doing it, and I do think Man City midfielders have the better fixtures earlier, but Liverpool also have really good fixtures, right? My captaincy rotation over Christmas is basically Salah and De Bruyne, or Salah and Sterling, Salah and whoever, right? So it's Liverpool and Man City midfielders is who I want because they have really good fixtures. So if I've got Salah and De Bruyne, having Mane or Sterling as well, there's probably not too much difference between them, but we know Mane is probably going to get less of a rest, I would say. Neither of them have got penalties, so I have to consider him too. And looking at the fixtures, they're great. So I could do it this week potentially, bring him in for Brighton. I think Wolves, I've highlighted orange, but I don't think the way they've been attacking, they're not going to put much of a fight up against Liverpool. We know Wolves can defend really well, but I feel like that's going to be, I wouldn't say that's going to be like a training ground game. You know, sometimes like I feel like Man City versus Burnley is a bit of a training game. Burnley are going to offer nothing going forward. They're going to sit back and try and defend, and it's just going to be attack after attack after attack. I don't think it's quite like that for Liverpool versus Wolves, and obviously Wolves will try and attack Liverpool, but the attack's just not been good enough this year so far. So there could be something in that as well. But obviously the Fulham game is really decent too. So 2 out of the next 3 are really good. Now we've seen Klopp complain about fixture schedule and stuff like that. And look, the 5 subs thing is not in. So we'll have to see what happens there. But I don't think that's going to be much of an issue. I don't see Mane and Salah getting too much of a rest over the Christmas period. They might get one game just like any other player, but outside of that, I'm not really overthinking it. So he's coming in potentially not as a captain option, because Salah will be my #1 captain anytime I want to captain a Liverpool player. But when I'm comparing him to, say, someone like Sterling, I think it's quite close. Now, he is more expensive than a Kane at 10. What's Kane now? 11 million, right? So he's 1.1 million more expensive. There's not, in terms of squad structure, there's not too much difference, right? And given at least how my team is set up, it's kind of Kane and a cheaper midfielder like a Jota or someone like that, or it's Mane and Watkins or Bamford. So it's quite close in terms of which one I would go for, which is why I'm strongly considering Mane. I think even the fixtures after this are looking really good. Like in the next kind of 8-9 games, they've got West Brom there, I think Newcastle, Southampton, really, really good fixtures to come. And if it wasn't for penalties, I think the conversation between Mane and Salah would be much, much closer anyway, right? So it's only the penalties that always kind of sides me with Salah in the first place. So I am strongly considering bringing in Mane. If not for game week 10, then definitely for game week 12. And I do think I'm going to have a space for him. It's just whether or not I go for him or whether I go for Sterling instead. So talking of the fixture swings, players and teams that I've been talking about for a while, I've not stopped banging on about the Man City fixtures, so much so that when I talked about Mane just then, I also talked a lot about Man City. But this is why the Mane versus Sterling debate is so close, because the fixtures coming up for City are so good straight away. So Burnley, Fulham, West Brom. Now, Burnley's not necessarily a fixture I would like to have attacking players against usually, but Man City's different. I do think, like I just said, they're going to be camped outside the Burnley box, and if they get an early goal, that could be another 3, 4, 5 goals for Man City. And again, you could be in the camp where City haven't been playing very well, so you don't expect them to play well. But I just look at these fixtures and just think they're going to turn it around. Pep said, you know, the amount of goals they've scored is a concern. It's not been enough. Like, Calvert-Lewin, I think, has scored more goals than Man City this season, which is absolutely ridiculous. Or at least they're on a par, right? Calvert-Lewin scored 10. I don't think Man City have scored much more than that. And they've had some difficult fixtures, they've had some injuries, but they're not good enough excuses for what we expect from Man City. They should be doing better. I do think they had some good chances against Spurs, maybe not clear cut, but they had quite a few, lots of shots blocked by Kevin, or from shots from Kevin De Bruyne, for example. And these fixtures are just too good. But I digress, because we're talking about Ruben Dias. Now, Man City defenders are difficult because they're cheap, right? They're much cheaper than the likes of Robertson, Trent Alexander-Arnold when he's back. But you're paying for a player you're not 100% convinced is nailed on. Maybe Laporte is, but he's 6 million. I don't want to spend that much. So really for me, it's between Cancelo and Dias. And don't get me wrong, if both were nailed on, I would 100% go for Cancelo. There wouldn't even be a debate. Dias wouldn't even be on the screen. But when I think about how nailed on a player is, I feel like Dias is potentially a little bit more nailed on than Cancelo, because Mendy's going to be back soon, and when he's in, he's left-footed, and that's such a, like, for a left-back, obviously most left-backs are naturally left-footed anyway, but in terms of Pep Guardiola, it's such a big thing for him that I just worry that will be the downfall of Cancelo, even though he's played really well from a defensive point of view, from an attacking point of view. Like, I fully expect him in that Burnley game, Cancelo, to be just basically another forward for Man City. I just don't think he's going to have too much defending to do on that left side. But when Mendy is back, it does muddy the waters a little bit. Whereas Dias, I feel like him and Laporte is the partnership. Could Ake play at some point? Yes, but he's left-footed. I don't see him playing too often while everyone is fit alongside Laporte. And I just feel like Dias is in there. And he does have a bit of goal threat, right? He had a few chances from corners against Spurs at the weekend. And he is going forward for set pieces. So him and Laporte are going to be in and around the box for free kicks and corners. So I feel like he's a good option. Ultimately, I don't know if I'm going to have the space to bring in a Man City defender this week. If not, I'm going to look to try and get one in for game week 11. Because like Liverpool, the good fixtures go on for ages. So even if he missed like one game, I feel like he is the #1 centre-back alongside Laporte. So it's not too much of an issue. And these fixtures are just too good to turn down. And like Man City only conceded one shot in the box against Spurs. Now, I've had this conversation on Twitter with people, and like they pointed out that, you know, there was that chance when Son squared it, he should have shot. That would have been another shot in the box, and they did get through on goal, and they still conceded 2 goals. Right, I fully get that, but only conceding 1 shot in the box against Spurs is extremely good. And look, you can say that Spurs exploited their line, right, and they exploited their defence. Fair enough, but you're talking about Kane and Son. We're now talking about Chris Wood, Alexander Mitrovic, and Karlan Grant at West Brom. It is not the same, right? The City defence is good. They're going to get... They were the most clean sheets last season. They're going to get lots of clean sheets over the fixtures to come. I want one. It's just whether or not I'm brave enough to go Cancelo, or I just go for the easy move, which is Dias, who still has some goal threats. If he gets 1 or 2 goals over the Christmas period, that would be great. I have to put Diogo Jota on the watch list. I don't want to. I don't even want to consider for a second buying him, because I just feel like it could be another Phil Foden. But he's just doing too much in that Liverpool team. For a team, by the way, who are extremely good. Still the best team in the league. Like, I said a lot last week about... Like, some people were writing Liverpool defence off, for example. And we're talking about attack, I know. But writing the defence off and saying that Vardy was going to be good against them. Yes, they've got a few injuries, but the system is still the same. The players still play the same system. Do you know what I mean? If a few players get injured, the players that come in, Klopp doesn't change the philosophy, change the tactics, change the strategy. They have to fit in with how he wants to play. It seems to not matter who comes in, they play really well. And having Fabinho in for Van Dijk and Matip in for Gomez is not ideal, but they're still 2 really good players. Milner at right back, still a really good player. The central midfield is still good, and when Diogo Jota is playing up front, that's still a decent replacement for Salah, Mane, Firmino, whoever it might be. And he hasn't played the full amount of minutes, obviously, since he's come in, because there is a lot of competition, but he has started to play a lot more minutes. And don't get me wrong, the injuries are playing into his hands, but with the amount of injuries they've got, that's probably a good thing, right? How often will they play 4-2-4? That, for me, is the key question, because when everybody is fit, then yeah, Diogo Jota is a problem, because if they go back to 4-3-3, then he's taking one of the spots of Mane or Salah, not happening, or Firmino. Now, some people think that Diogo Jota is now first choice ahead of Firmino. I don't think, apart from scoring a lot of goals, which fair enough is what a striker should do, I don't feel like we've seen anything to say that is the case. Even when Klopp wanted to play him against Man City, he still played Firmino as well. Now, that could have been tactics against Man City. Of course, Firmino offers quite a bit going back as well as going forward. But we don't know for sure that he's taken that spot. And I think it's too early to say that. I can't imagine that Firmino, who's been in that team, Champions League winner, Premier League winner, is now suddenly getting dropped every week for Jota. But I will say, and I will agree with people that say, it's extremely hard for Klopp to drop Jota right now. So whether they play 4-2-4 or whether he takes Firmino's spot every now and again, maybe covers for Salah or Mane when Klopp wants to give them a rest. And Klopp has, like I've already said, mentioned about the schedule. So maybe we still will see more minutes. My worry is 6.6 million is a great price, right? When he plays, he's a bargain. Probably one of the biggest bargains in the league, more than Foden right now, who just keeps getting benched. My only worry is, if he doesn't play, is he that much of a bargain that is worth having that slot in? And when I say that, there's so many good options right now. Like, I can't fit in loads of the good options that I want to. So why would I necessarily put in my team a player that I don't know is going to start, right? So if I think of my team, Grealish is in, he's staying. Salah's going to come in, De Bruyne is going to come in. Up front, I can have Bamford and Watkins. Now, they are really the players versus Jota for the same price. They might not be as good when they all start, but the thing with Bamford and Watkins is they're pretty much nailed on. One has penalties as well, and they're a little bit cheaper. In midfield, fair enough, right? There's not many options around 6.6 million that you'd want to go for. But if you've got those cheap strikers, you can afford to get Salah, you can afford to get Mane, Sterling, De Bruyne, Grealish, Bruno Fernandes, whoever it might be. And so you're not having one of them to put in Jota instead. And that's the dilemma that I've got. If I could easily move to 3-5-2, I would definitely consider it. And like I say for these watch list videos, it's not always about the players that I want to bring in. Sometimes it's just about players I want to talk about. And I am strongly considering him because he does give me an easy route to get Salah. But for the long term, do I want to have him in my team? Like, what if he gets benched against Brighton and plays against Wolves, benched against Fulham, plays against Spurs? It seems unlikely. You'd think that if Klopp was going to stick with his tried and tested team, it'd probably be for the harder fixtures, not the easier ones. So maybe that plays into Jota's hands. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, what if he does start against Brighton and Fulham? Like, that could be brilliant, right? 6.6 million is huge value. There's going to be plenty of FPL managers out there like me who are worried about bringing him in, right? And so, therefore, he's a massive differential. So, he is on my watch list, and I am going to strongly consider him. He is the type of player that I wouldn't usually put in my team. Not now, anyway. When I first started playing FPL, I probably would. Maybe I should go back to that way of playing. But the minutes worry me. And, like, Foden looked like a bit of a world beater straight away. Like, he might have 4 goals and 4 at home. Foden had 3 attacking returns in the first 5. And now he's been benched 4 games in a row. And who's to say that won't happen to Jota, you know? As Trent Alexander-Arnold gets back fit, does Milner then move into midfield? That gives Klopp enough confidence to go back to 4-3-3. And does Firmino get dropped? I'm not so sure. So let me know in the comments below, who of you are buying Jota? I've got my concerns about him, but I do see why people are bringing him in. Because when he plays, he is golden. Probably one of the best value, if not the best value player in the whole league. So that is it for this one. Thanks very much for watching. Please do give it a like if you've enjoyed. Like I said, it helps out the channel. And that's what we want to do, right? See this channel grow. And do consider subscribing if you haven't already. I just want to do a quick shout out to everyone that signed up at patreon.com/letstalkfpl. If you want to support me and the channel a little bit further and get some benefits along the way, do check out the link in the description below. Everyone that signs up gets up on the Legends Wall as well and gets a shout out when they first sign up. So thanks to everyone that signed up. We are building and building the community over there, and all the Slack chat at the weekend during the matches is really good. Really like that. There's WhatsApp access. I'm converting all the videos to podcasts and all that kind of thing as well. So if you want to check it out, patreon.com/letstalkfpl, link in the description below. Please do hit that like and subscribe button and leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think of these players. Is Diaz just a wimp? Cool. Should I be going to Cancelo? Is Jota really an option, or is he going to get benched? Liverpool fans, let me know what you think. And what about Mane? If it's Mane versus Sterling, bearing in mind I'll already have Salah and De Bruyne, which one wins out for you? I'm going to guess a lot of people will say Mane, but look at the fixtures for Sterling. They are so good. So let me know below. Hit that like button, hit subscribe, check out Patreon, and I will catch you tomorrow for another video.